everybody, welcome back to another video at the Paper Addict. I'm going to warn you up front, this video is going to be a hot mess. It was one of those things where anything that could go wrong went wrong. My camera ran out of storage space, so then I fixed that, and I came back like the next day, and then my battery died. And then I ran out of tape in my ATG. Then I said, okay, I'll just use my score tape. And I ran out of that, like the roll of that was finished. So I had to refill my ATG. It was just one of those things. This layout took me an hour and a half over 2 days when it should have taken me no time at all. I also do a lot of editing in this layout because there are a lot of things that are just repetitive, which you'll see later. But these are photos from our 2009 trip to Nashville before we had kiddos. Our son wasn't born till late 2010. And I still have all these pictures. I also still have all the pictures from our honeymoon in 2005. Seems like 8 million years ago. I also have all of our pictures from Italy in 2006. And this was back when I still printed everything in advance. I didn't do any printing at home. And I still printed everything 4x6. So I have just buckets of ephemera and receipts and postcards, all just laying around from those 3 trips. And it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it takes up a whole 31 bucket and a whole bucket from my kids' like play stand organizer thing that they use for their Legos. And I am determined this year to get some of this done and in an album. So what I did is I bought 2 sketchbooks. One is 20 sketches, single page, using all 4x6 photos, and the other is double page, using all 4x6 photos. They are from Scrapbook Generation. If I can find them, I will link them in the description box below, along with some of the products I used in the video. But I bought both of those sketchbooks, and I decided that I'm going to do those sketches based on how many photos I have. Like in this particular instance, I had 5, so I went to the double page area and looked for sketches with 5 photos, and then just looked. Can you hear my kiddos upstairs playing video games? I looked for sketches through the 5 photo sketches to see which one would work with the way my photos were oriented, and picked one, and I just followed it. I used their cutting guide. I did switch up their embellishments as far as the sketch called for hearts, but I used stars because I thought it fit a little bit better with like skyline around town pictures than hearts would. I'd be more inclined to use hearts if it was pictures of us or my family. But I stuck really closely to the sketch just so I can get these done and in an album. I decided that it doesn't have to be the latest, greatest, most artistic, mixed media. It's more important that I get these photos done and these memories documented, and quite frankly, all this stuff out of my space. You know, all the receipts, whether I keep them as part of the ephemera on the page, or if I use them, to do some of my journaling. It gives me the date we were there, and, I do like to document occasionally, depending on where it is, how much the tickets were, to see how much that has changed. Like the ticket prices for Disney have doubled since the last time we were there. And then I can get rid of them, and I can get rid of the, plastic bags that they're in, and just I need stuff out of my space. I'm sure you all understand that. I've always felt that way, but especially now with, being in quarantine and being here all the time, um, the stuff all over bugs me to no end. And it'll also help get some of these paper kits used up. This is an old We Are Memory Keepers. It's called Quoted. And I can't tell you exactly how long it is or how old it is, but it's old. I'm actually looking it up to see if I can find it real quickly. It was an old collection by Teresa Collins. Let's see, does it have? Some of them have a copyright date on them. It does, but it's too fuzzy for me to read it. But needless to say, it's old. And it doesn't really have a whole lot of ephemera with it. So I thought it might be good for these things that I can use general ephemera like, hearts and stars and we were here. Let's see. I'm still looking at the. Nope, it doesn't have a copyright on it that I can see. But just, also like I said, use up some of my stash. And get all this stuff out of here. So you saw me cut those strips into 1x4s and then cut them into banners. I just used one of them as a template. And I inked all the edges and glued them all down. You saw, that and here is where I do most of the editing, because once you see me cut one banner or ink one banner, you've seen me do them all. I can tell you I used Vintage Photo to ink all of the edges. And then that die was just one that I purchased at Hobby Lobby years and years and years ago. It has 2 different size stars, and then you can emboss with it as well. But I just wanted the stars for ephemera. And then I take my stars and put them where they're supposed to be, where the hearts are in this sketch. And I start off doing them crooked, for lack of a better word, so they weren't so like straight on and regimented. And then I just didn't like it because I couldn't get them all exactly the same crooked. So I will go back and readjust them so that they're all up and down. And then it's also, I'm able to use my T-square ruler and make sure they're all fairly straight. So I'm just sticking each of them on a foam square to give them a little bit of dimension. But you're also supposed to stitch through these per the sketch. But that is one thing. I know Allison Davis does a lot of stitching, hand stitching. But since my goal is to get these photos documented, I'm not inclined to do that anyway, but I will probably not do any of the stitching, because then it's another step. Get out the machine, thread the machine, etc., etc. And my goal is to get these layouts done. Now, these are supposed to be for 4x6. The sketches are for 4x6 photos. But back in 2009, the thing was, our digital camera and our local printing place was like, oh, digital cameras are really set for 4x5.33, and that's the size you should print the photos for the best. So I went with what they suggested. But then these photos aren't quite 4x6. So I used these circles just as a way to make the photos fit the space a little bit better. And then I didn't put stars behind my photo because I figured, why, take that time and use that product and et cetera, for something that's just going to get covered up by a photo. Oh, I spend way too much time. I know these are supposed to be perfectly even, but I did not have any luck with my strips being perfectly even. Even though I used my, you saw me use my trimmer, cut them into 1-inch strips, they did not fit the paper perfectly. And then I spend way too much time being concerned about getting that star that bridges the gap between the left-hand page and the right-hand page relatively even. But that's just me and my little bit of OCD that wants that to look fairly correct when it goes in the album. But I did ink all of the photo edges in black soot. That's not something that I normally do, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it was where I printed these or if I was just having an off day, that they looked like really, really, really white. And I was seeing the edge of the photo more than I was seeing the photo. So I just lightly inked those, and that took care of that for me. But I printed my journaling on strips. If you know, that's another thing Scrapbook Generation does often, is have journaling strips. I printed it on my computer because I have tried to write my journaling onto those 1/4-inch strips, and oh my gosh, I can get my handwriting fairly tiny, but it's, I have to use exactly the right pen, and let's hope there's not a letter like a G that goes, under the line. So I just printed them up on the computer. And I am going to use, I don't know if I got it in the frame, they're new to me. They're called foam strips, and they're from Couture Creations. Again, I'll have a link in the description below. And they're just, I think they're 1/4-inch. I think they were 1/4-inch. I'll have to look again. And I loved them. I could just put my strip on there and cut off the little piece that I need. I didn't have to try to cut foam. I usually use fun foam, but I didn't have to try to cut 1/4-inch foam and then put glue, liquid glue on it. Or I didn't have to, I used to use the Scotch foam adhesive, but then that you also had to cut, so I gave these a try. I won't use these for everything, obviously, so I used foam squares for the stars, but I liked them for journaling strips. I liked them for smaller die cuts because the squares are a pain in the neck to get, cut smaller. But so far, so good. The first one obviously came off the packing a little funny, but that's because it's the first one. The second one here, much better. I think, I think I'll end up liking them. So, like I said, this collection didn't have many embellishments. All it came with was a 12 by 12 sticker sheet, at least when I bought it. I don't remember if I bought it when it was new or on a clearance, or I don't even remember where I got it. But, and the pieces are huge. Like, there's huge arrows, and when I say huge, they're like 3¼ inches long. There's pennants, and those are 3½ inches long. Just huge. For me, that, I like smaller things to tuck here and there. So I was thankful that there isn't too much embellishing on the sketch. But what I end up doing, I hear people upstairs crabbing at each other. I don't know how your kids are, but mine, they love each other to death, but quarantine has tested their patience with each other, especially with the age and gender difference. what she's capable of doing versus what he wants to do, or what she wants to do gender-wise versus what he wants to do. You know, he doesn't want to play Barbies. But yeah, see, here's where I start with the star and trying to make it fit better. I did end up cutting most of that out because it took me a good while. But I tried cutting a camera from the paper, and since everything was darker toned, the white tone of the camera bothered me. So what I ended up doing is I pulled out, it's the only like travel collection I have. It's called Fancy Pants As You Wish. It, again, is a very old, I've had it since one of my friends sold scrapbook stuff, and here, 2014. But I ended up using a few of those pieces, even though they are cream based, and I used white behind my photos. I didn't think they were so terribly awful, since I had that mustard orange and mustard orange. Getting my merge wicks. The mustard yellow and the orange, they didn't look so off. And they had a globe, which I put on the right-hand side, and a camera that matched better. So these stickers, as you can see, I'll end up cutting most of this out too, just because I have to take so much time to put glue on them. I mean, you can see they don't even stick to the sticker sheet anymore, let alone my layout. And you know what? I cannot find, I had those square tile letters that I think it was Jelly Bean Soup did years ago. I had every color that they make. Do you think I can find them? I wanted them for this layout because I end up making my title Explore the Nashville Sites. The Explore is a sticker from the ephemera pack from that Fancy Pants. And I wanted the tile stickers, As You Wish, right? That's the fancy. See, As You Wish. I start looking for my tile stickers for I can't find them. For the life of me, I don't know if on my last reorganization I threw them out. I don't know if I put them somewhere new. I cannot find them. So I end up just using puffy tiles from Felicity Jane. And you see that camera sticker there on the left-hand photo? I don't use that. That's not a sticker, the ephemera piece, I'm sorry. But it stays there until after I take photos of this layout. I just must not have seen it when I cleaned up. But we're getting to the end here, guys. Just about another 2 minutes. I edited this down as much as I possibly thought I could, because I try to keep the videos around 15 minutes because I know everybody's time is valuable, but I just couldn't get an hour and a half down to 15 minutes without speeding it up to the point where it looked like there was something wrong with my hands. But so tell me what you think of my plan to get these old photos documented. Do you like it? Is it something you would do? Is there something else I should try? I want to hear your opinion. I hope to document a lot of these layouts as I do them, but we'll see what kind of comedy of errors I have next time between batteries and storage space and things like that. Soccer season has like 3 more weeks, but we have more games than ever, so I don't know how much scrapping time I'll have either. But I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. I hope to be back soon. Don't forget, all of my fun social media links are in the description box below, as well as links to some of these products if I can still find them. If you ever have any questions, suggestions, general comments, I'd love to hear them. Please feel free to leave them below or send me a message if it's something you'd, rather not the world to see. And I hope to see you again soon, guys. I thank you so much for sticking with me as my time is divided in all kinds of different places. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.